Heteros and homoros, they live the same, they love the same, but in a bar or found online, why should it have a name? Heteros and homoros, Asian she-males, West Coast gangbangs, there's a dandelion for each Damarel, and no one is to blame. Follow your heart and fulfill all your dreams, strange as they may seem. Look at yourself, don't you feel a better man? Live for love, that's the only eternity. Heteros and homoros can be afraid, know about pain, from enchanted poems to dark endings. Why wouldn't they act the same? Heteros and homoros enjoy Faulkner as much as Proust. Straights get fingered, queers drink beer, enjoy life while you eat. Follow your heart and fulfill all your dreams, strange as they may seem. Yourself, don't you feel a better man? Live for love, that's the only eternity.
Shut up! I was born in 1946 in Baltimore, and I was born 2 months early. So I was baptized over and over, and that's what's the matter with me. All the original sin was taken out of my soul. So basically that gave me a good start for being perverse right from the beginning, to not fit in, and my parents were scared of me. So I used to design an amusement park ride called The Crush. And it was like the Ferris wheel, and I'd have bodies going up, but then they would be crushed coming down. It would show bloody corpses. I think that's a normal thing kids do, isn't it? I was ahead of my time, yes, in the worst sense of the word. I had a great imagination, and I learned early that my interests were never what anybody else was interested in. Freak shows were incredibly important to me. The world's largest rat, they used to have that at the fair here, and it was great. I wanted to see the world's largest rat and a picture of it. I didn't want to go to the baseball game. I had scrapbooks, I had imaginary friends. I had a stage in my house that my parents sort of helped me build. My parents are very conservative. They were mortified, basically, but the same way, I think they knew, well, if he doesn't do this, what would he ever do? So they were encouraging. I was a puppeteer when I was a kid. I had a children's birthday party circuit where I did sometimes 3 shows a week. I got $25 a show. It was a lot in 1958, believe me. And the parents always liked it. I have people still in Baltimore that come up to me in the supermarket and said, you know, you give a puppet show at my birthday party. It's really weird. My mother was Catholic, my father wasn't. So I went to private school. So on Sundays, you had to go to Catholic Sunday school where they really were mean to you and told you you were going to go to hell because your father wasn't Catholic. It was the Marquis de Sade in a skirt. That's what the nuns were like. And they used to read us these list of movies that we would go to hell if we saw. I would have never heard of these movies if they hadn't told them to us. And so I used to redesign ad campaigns of hideous movies and pretend I owned a dirty movie theater. As soon as I hit to being a teenager, I was too embarrassed to be a puppeteer. So I heard about underground movies that luckily had just come out when I was about 15 and 16 years old. So I was obsessed by them. I used to run away to New York and go to them and read about them in the papers and the Village Voice and get Variety really early. And I always liked the movies that you weren't supposed to see. I have this mustache because I wanted to be Little Richard. I grew up with Elvis Presley. I thought I was Elvis Presley. I played rockabilly all the time. I collected records. I loved the rage of rock and roll. My parents took me to be on the Howdy Doody Show. It was the first huge hit American television show. I thought, it's all a big lie. This is what I want to do forever. It didn't freak me out. I saw that the stage was this big, there were all these cameras, it was completely fake. So I knew I wanted to be in show business really early. I remember one thing they said that was weird, that they were against us watching Ozzie and Harriet, which is the most typical American, because the woman was too strong in the household. She didn't let the man make all the decisions. These people should be arrested. Not only did they abuse people sexually, they told people that. I knew right away that that was ridiculous. My bullshit detector came out really early as a kid. I wanted to be a beatnik first, so I wore sandals that wrapped up to my legs, dirty Levi's, and tried to hang around with all black people and just say, all right, for no reason. I never wanted to be a hippie. I was a yippie, which was a punk hippie. Would go to riots to pick up boys, basically. It was really a great place for cute boys. I was political, but at the same time, it was like a party at the same time during the 60s. First would go see like Jack Smith's movies, Flaming Creatures, or Janae's early movie, and the police would come. It was really perked up of going to the movies if you had to run when police came. They would seize the print. It was really exciting. And then the Kuchar brothers and Kenneth Anger and certainly Warhol and all those things. And Film Culture magazine, which is the thing that I really worshipped, you know, and Jonas Mekas, the critic. And it was hard to find out about all that stuff in Baltimore. They didn't really have that here. So I would go to New York on the Greyhound bus. And we would just go up to strangers and say, can we stay with you? And they'd say yes. I took LSD in about 1964, I think. And it wasn't even illegal until 1967 or 8. And you know, I was angry, crazy, mixed up. No school then would have me. Today, it would be a very, very different thing. You couldn't go to school then and say you liked these movies, or you read this book, or if you were expelled in Catholic school, you couldn't like that stuff. And the high school I went to, the brothers would beat you up and stuff. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, they discouraged every interest I ever had, really. And then at NYU, I can't totally blame NYU. I only went to one class. And they showed the Odessa Steppe sequence over and over. I'd seen that, you know. I wanted to go see a Russ Meyer movie. I was having a great time. I went to 4 movies every day. And I went to the bookshop and stole books every day and then resold them back to the bookstore the next week for money. I don't know what I was thinking about. So I had an outlet for all my lunacy, all my crimes, everything I get to do on film. If I had no outlet for all this stuff in my head, God knows what I would do. My parents have been very supportive. They paid for my early movies. They lent me the money to make them. I was interested in breaking the rules artistically to see how it would change things. Pat and I had the same boyfriend, actually. That's how we met. She was escaping a suburban life downtown and first met gay men, and she was like having a great time. Chuck's been in my movies too. I mean, it's even his dick, that's Divine's dick in Female Trouble. When she takes off this dick, we have put fake warts on it. It was Chuck, was the stunt dick.
The whole underground film movement was beginning then. I mean, Jonas Mekas was writing for the Village Voice at the time. Jack Smith's films were out. So what it really showed us is that there is a whole edgier side of movie making, and he grew up in movie theaters as I did. I mean, we would go every Saturday, but it was a different genre. It was a whole totally different, new, radical, and certainly I think kind of matched up with the times themselves. And we just would do it on the weekends, although I do recall it being as serious then as it is now. He reminded me about within the last 2 months that next year we will have been friends for 40 years.
It is deep fun to cause trouble artistically when you're young. It's a great thrill. Well, there was a girl named Carol Warnig that moved up the street from my parents. And I used to see her like mowing the lawn in short shorts with this bleached blonde hair. And I thought, oh, this is a new bad girl that moved in the neighborhood. I got to meet her. And she knew Glenn